Well, hello. My name is Stacey Morgan, and thank you so much for joining us for Cashflow Made Simple. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you've had a romantic day. I had a rose on my desk from my husband this morning. Very impressive. He went for a swim to the beach, and I think on the way home, the cafe that he walks past had like little gift boxes and roses. But I don't mind. Like, however it got to me, it got to me. So I'm feeling very loved up this Valentine's Day, and I hope you are too. And thank you for taking the time to watch live or watch the replay, my Cashflow Made Simple masterclass. And the reason we're doing this is because so many of you, especially first-time coaching clients, come to me and say, oh, I don't really want to talk about the numbers. I don't want to talk about, you know, what cash I have in my business, what cash I don't have in my business. I really want to just keep it to myself. And I can relate to that because that was me too. And that was me for so long, I have to tell you, just sticking my head in the sand, hoping for the best, checking the bank balance. And if there was money there, then happy days. And if there wasn't money there, then I would just, cry myself to sleep and then move on to the next day. So if you are feeling like this is not your wheelhouse, I get it. I totally get it. I understand. But what I would like you to do is I'd like you to start to reframe this concept, because so many of us love to use the excuse, and I've used it as well. I'm not a numbers person, so I don't need to worry about all of this, or I'm not a numbers person, so I'm not going to really dive in and have a look under the covers and see exactly what's going on. And you can become a numbers person, and you actually don't have to be a numbers person in order to know what's going on across all the important parts of your business. So the stuff we're going to talk about today is going to be super simple maths. It's not going to be anything that your calculator can't handle, and feel free to use your calculator. Feel free to get help from wherever you can. The most important thing is that you're here and that you're ready to learn and that you're ready to get stuck into it. And you might, be feeling apprehensive because it's not something that you enjoy, and that's okay too. And please know that I'm here at any time if you want to reach out, and we can do this together. You don't have to go it alone. You don't have to do it. Sit down and look at the spreadsheet on your own. I'm more than happy to join you. But it's very important that I start by recognizing that we are here presenting. I'm here presenting today on Biripi land, and I pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. You may tell that I don't sound 100%. That's because my children are back at school. And someone, Patrick, I think it was, it's hard to keep track. Patrick came home with some kind of lurgy last week, passed it on to Lucinda, and she passed it on to me. I went downhill very fast yesterday afternoon. So I've been doing everything I can today to make sure I was ready to present for you tonight. So we're just going to keep going until my voice runs out, if you're cool with that. So just hang out with us. All right. If you are watching, and I know we have people watching live, some people here in Australia, we have people in Germany. Good morning. Welcome, Onion. Lovely to see you. And whether you're watching this or whether you're watching the replay, I would love to hear your takeaways. So please feel free to take a photo and of any of the pages that inspire you, or any of the pages that you're like, yes, I need to remember that. Post it on your Insta story or your Facebook wall, and make sure you tag me. I'm at Simply Stacey Morgan, and use the hashtag business coach. All right. If you think you are here to get stuck into a budget and you are here just to trawl through the numbers, that's not going to be the case. So you can relax because we're not necessarily going to dive into all the nitty gritty of where you can be saving money in your business, all the nitty gritty of different ways to make more money in your business. We're just going to be talking about the numbers you must know in your business in order to make sure that it's functioning as well as it can. Then my hope is that you're inspired by knowing the numbers, figuring out what's going on. You get inspired by that, and then you want to go and delve into the budget a little bit deeper. You want to do a forecast for the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. And if my business mentor, Glenda, was watching me present now, and she's not here on the call and she's not signed up for the replay, thank heavens, she'd be laughing, because the amount of times that I've had sessions with her and I've avoided talking about the budget, I've avoided doing the forecast. This has been going on 15 years. And I want you to know that, because I want you to know that this was never the first thing that I was going to tackle. I was always more happy to tackle, the social media marketing. I was always happy to do the community engagement. I was always happy to meet and greet new customers, all of the things in the business except for this part. So please know that you're in good company if this stuff is not your jam. I totally get it. So we're going to talk about three things today. We're going to talk about the expenses that you have in your business, because that's important. It's really important to know where the money's going out, how much of it's going out, where it's going to. We're going to talk about the income as well, but we're going to do that last. I've split it up for you, so it's not going to be too brain heavy. So we're going to talk expenses first, and then we're going to talk income last, because the expenses is the yucky bit, but the income is the good part. So we'll save that for last. And right in the middle of the sandwich is the tasty stuff. That's the marketing. So we'll talk about what numbers you need to know in terms of your marketing to make sure that you are spending your money in the right place, and that you are not, making decisions that aren't based on the data that you have in your business when it comes to your marketing. Nothing brings me more joy, can I just say, than when the telemarketers call and they say, we've got this great deal on a shopper docket, or a great deal in the ad in the yellow pages, or anything that they call and want to take my money for. Nothing pleases me more than to say, no, I'm sorry, I have a marketing budget and I'm out of funds for this month. Or no, I'm sorry, that's not part of my marketing strategy. And I didn't have that in the early days. I used to just go, oh, this is awkward. But now I have the freedom to be able to say, no, there's a strategy in place and this is not part of it. And you'll have that freedom hopefully by the end of today's call as well. So grab a piece of paper, grab a pen. Let's get stuck into it. I'd like you to have a look at your P&L for the last full year. Now, if you can't access that because you go, oh, goodness me, no, that's something that my accountant gives me and I don't know where to find it, totally fine. Go to the banking app on your phone and open it up and start to scroll, because you will soon see where all of your money is going and where you are spending all of your money. Because the aim of identifying your expenses is to figure out what you are spending, when you are spending it, and how much you're spending. And we spend, there's a lot of things that have to be paid for in business. And my dad in the early days gave me great advice. He said that you got to spend money to make money. And he was so true. And so when it comes to our business, we as business owners really only ever see the money going out, all the money going out. And our employees tend to just see the money coming in, right? And that's a whole other leadership discussion that we can have. But we are aware that there is a lot of expense when it comes to running your own business. So whilst I'm talking, I'd like you to write down, perhaps it's just a list of things that you know that you have as expenses in your business. Perhaps you're going to get more specific and talk about what you're paying for rent and what you're paying for electricity and what you're paying in your wages, what you have to buy in terms of your products, the things that you're going to sell, what you're spending on your marketing, what you're spending on your printing and your telephone. I know the telephone thing creeps up for me. I just look at that bill and I think, how are we spending that much money on the telephone? And can I just say, little side note, a side hustle that would be really awesome for someone to start, because I would pay all the money for it, is somebody who knows how the phone companies work and can look at your bill and go and tell you how to get a better deal, to get on a better plan, or to get on a better anything. Don't you think that's a brilliant idea? I'm all about it. So make a list of all those expenses and figure out exactly when they're coming out. Is your rent coming out monthly? Does it come on the 1st of the month, the 15th of the month? Is it something that you just pay when you get the invoice and you pay when there's enough money in the bank account? What happens with your electricity? Are you paying it every 3 months? Are you paying, they measure it every second month, or they make an estimate every third month? How does that work for you? And do you know how that works? Because that's important. And that's whether you have an actual bricks and mortar store or whether you just have your home office, because it is part of your expenses for your business. If you have a home office, and if you haven't spoken to your accountant about that, then stick that on your to-do list, because you can claim a certain percentage of your home if you have a home office. Do you have employees or contractors that you're paying as part of your wages, as part of those fees? And what does that look like? Do you pay them every fortnight? Do you pay them when they submit an invoice for you? What does that look like? And where's that money going? Do you have suppliers that you need to pay invoices for? And what are their terms of payment? Because for some people, they give you 30 days to pay their invoice, and other people, it turns up and you've got 24 hours or 48 hours. Well, that's how it feels to me. So really know what those expenses are in terms of those suppliers for those products that you're buying in, that you're going to be on selling, or just suppliers that you're using for your business. Know exactly what those expenses are going to be, or have an estimate of what those expenses are going to be, just a friendly guesstimate between, now and the end of the year. Perhaps it's now and the end of the month. What is regularly being paid out in terms of your products that you need to get into the store, and what are the terms of payment for those? What are you spending on marketing? And it's important that we know this. So have a look at your P&L, or if you know, okay, every month I put $100 into Facebook ads, or every month I pay a certain amount for my Canva subscription. Have a think about those expenses. And if you don't, as I said, if you don't have your P&L there, then have a look through your bank statement, because you'll see those automated, direct debits that are going out. Have a think about, the things that we don't think about. So do you have a scheduling tool that you pay for? Do you have a website hosting that you pay for? Do you have one of those SSL certificates that are part of your website thing? Do you pay for your domain name? All of that needs to get heaped into marketing. So just have a think of all those things. And if you haven't already found them on your bank statement as you're scrolling through, then make a note to find out what that cost is and include it in these sums. Printing. I wouldn't think that we'd spend so much on printing, but we still do. We do birthday cards for our customers, and we do paper handouts on special occasions. So not for everything. Most of our things are electronic, but every now and then, like last week, we had our welcome disco as a community building exercise that we had in the business. And so we gave everyone like a little hand printed flyer that goes into my printing expenses. And as I said earlier, the telephone. So have a think about whether it's your home phone, whether it's your mobile that you're using, whether you're paying for a service in-house. Have a think about what that is and how much money you're spending on that. And hopefully you're not spending as much as I am, because that's ridiculous. All right. So once you've got a good look at all of those expenses, yes, it can be valuable to go through and see where you can save some money. I'm not saying that it's not valuable, but even just the pure task of understanding what your expenses are, when they're going out, when you can expect them to go out, is going to open your mind and give you that opportunity to be able to sleep at night a little better, because you know what's happening and when it's happening and where it's heading to. Is that making sense? Those of you who are here and watching live, let me see who's got their cameras on. Pam, I can only see the top of your head. Yes, thumbs up. Very good. So once you've got a good handle on those expenses and you're really understanding what those expenses are, it is really important that you keep a calculated track of what they are and whether they're changing or not. And this is why a P&L is so beautiful, especially if you've been in business for a little while. You can look back on last year and say, holy moly, our expenses are up so much more than they were last time. What does that mean? Are we bringing in enough income for that, or are we needing to look at it? So really make sure that once you've gone through with a fine tooth comb and had a look at everything, I'm not saying that you have to go and ring your electricity company and go and haggle for your rent, though those things can be valuable, especially if you're trying to tighten up your purse strings. But just the understanding is where I want to get you to today. So knowing that looking at this stuff is not going to be the end of the world, and that education is power. And so knowing exactly what those expenses are and where they're going in your business is going to be super helpful. All right. Let's talk about some fun stuff. As I said, the tasty stuff, the meat inside the sandwich. Are you getting bang for your buck when it comes to your marketing? We talked about marketing as part of our expenses list, but often in our business, we don't think about how our marketing affects the amount of customers that we're bringing in and the amount of income that we have. So the numbers in terms of your marketing are very different to the numbers that we're going to be talking about for expenses and for income. So I want you to shift your brain for a second, because I want you to think about what you spend on your marketing for your whole year. And as I said, the things that need to be lumped into that marketing include your website. It's your big, what are those things that you drive past? Billboard. It's your big billboard. Yeah. When people are searching on the internet, they're looking for you. The billboard that they've come and find is your website. So the costs associated with your website, the hosting, the domain name, the certificates, all of the things that go with that. What about in terms of your social media? Are you paying money for Facebook ads? Are you paying money for someone to handle it for you? Are you paying subscriptions when it comes to the things that you're using to schedule your Facebook posts and your Instagram posts? Are you paying money for Canva or whatever it is that you're using to make all of your posts as well? Because thinking about all of these expenses and all of these marketing expenses, what we want to be able to understand is how much of our revenue, how much of the total income that we're bringing in every year is being spent on marketing. That's the first thing that we want to find out. The industry standard is between 10 and 15% for small businesses of your total revenue. So some of you might find that you're spending less. Some of you might find that you're spending more. This is just an exercise in figuring it out. Where are you at? Where are you at currently? Where were you last year? Where are you going to be next year? To really think about that, it really gives you the opportunity to, hang up on those telemarketers when they're trying to sell you something that's not part of your strategy, because you understand, no, I'm at my limit. I've already spent 10% or 15% and I'm not going over that. Then I want you to think about how many new customers you had come into your store this year, how many new clients you brought on, how many new people came and spent money with you. Because what we're looking for is, what is the return on investment? How much bang for our buck are we getting out of our marketing? So the second piece of the puzzle is thinking about, okay, if I got 100 new customers this year, but I spent $40,000 on my marketing, then the cost per acquisition, so the cost per person to come in to your shop was $40. Now that's great if when they came into your shop, they spent $260. But if they came into your shop and they spent $2.50, then we have an issue. So it's about knowing and understanding where that money is going, and are you getting a great return on that money? And for me in my business, this is a really important thing for my teachers to understand, for my staff to understand, because we spend a lot of money on brand awareness in terms of our marketing. We spend a lot of money on Facebook ads, making sure that everybody knows who we are and what we're doing and why we're so fancy, so that when people actually decide to pick up the phone or they actually decide to walk inside of my shop, I've already paid for them, right? The money's already been spent on all of that. If I don't convert them to a customer, then that money just walks out the door. So that $40 is, walking down the street and going somewhere else, and I've lost out. But as I said, if they come in and they spend money and they spend more than $40, then hey, worth it. And hopefully they're going to spend a lot more than that. So if you're doing advertising, if you're spending money on your social media for your brand awareness, if you're putting together great ads, if you have people that you're working with as part of your business that are putting all of that together, they're working really, really hard to make sure that they're getting people in the door. That's the aim of the game. You want people to come in. Either you want them to come to your website and click purchase now and go straight through to the cart and make the purchase, or you want them to come in the doors and actually make a sale. So for your team and for yourself to know that every time that phone rings, that's a $40 phone call, or obviously you're going to do your own sums and figure out how much money you're spending. It might be a lot less than that, or it might be a lot more. Every time somebody picks up the phone and you answer it, that's a $40 phone call. Every time you follow up an email, it's actually a $40 email. Is this making sense? Are you kind of getting a sense of why it's important to know this stuff? And I want you to be able to think about that when you're thinking about how much money you're going to spend, because instead of just picking something and saying, okay, and I do this, I have to say I'm guilty of this at times. And that comes down to me not being so on top of my strategy. When my Facebook ads person says, how much do you want to spend? I go, Usually I get the text message with that question while I'm out and about. I've got the kids crawling around and doing things and hitting each other and screaming and yelling. And I go, $100. Oh, $40. Oh, da, da, da. But that's dangerous, because I need to be able to think about it in terms of, okay, this ad campaign, how many customers do I need to bring in with this ad campaign? Let's say I've got a product that I'm selling and I've got 60 left of them in the store. If I need 60 new people to come in, then that $100 I'm spending on ads has to bring me in 60 people. So maybe it's more than 100 that I need to spend. Maybe it's $6,000 I need to spend, because Facebook advertising is getting very expensive. Maybe it's $6,000 I need to spend in order to get 60 customers in to buy that product. But you have to be thinking about that ahead of time. And as I said, I'm not perfect at it. So full disclosure, I'll always be honest with you. But these are the things that I'm learning, and hopefully you'll be able to learn as you go as well and be able to think about this kind of stuff. So those numbers are important. What we're not going to talk about today, but what is also really important to understand, is how much is the lifetime cost of a customer for you. So the potential lifetime earning of a customer. So let's say you bring on a new client and that new client comes to you for maybe one thing that they need, but then you're able to upsell them into a bigger package, or maybe a year-long contract. And then that turns into a 3-year contract and a 5-year contract. And before you know it, you're working with this client for 10 years. thinking about what that means in terms of revenue in your business is really, really important as well. Because if working with a client for 10 years means that they're going to eventually bring in $100,000 to your business, then the $40 phone call or the $40 email that you've just spent to get them in the door in the first place, it's twice as valuable. Like it's 80 times more valuable that you actually make that sale, that you do that follow-up, that phone call is taken well, and that is converted through to a sale, because that lifetime potential. Sure, not every customer that's going to come into us is going to stick with us for 10 years. And you may want to figure out an average of how long you think your customers do stick around. And we know what that is in our business, but that's for a whole other session. But thinking about these numbers is really, really important as you're putting your strategy together and as you're thinking about how much money you want to spend on your marketing as we go into the year, because getting those new people in the door and giving them the understanding of what you do and what your business does and how your business is important and the transformation that your customer can have with your business. Yes, it's a $40 phone call. Yes, it's a $40 email, but it actually might be a $100,000 potential email. Yeah. Making sense? All right. 2 seconds because I need some water, because can you tell? The voice is fading. Nearly missed it. Okay. So before we head on to income, I want to remind you that returning in April is Thrive. So excited. I love this time of year because there are so many fabulous coaching clients that I work with that had big dreams and big hopes for the new year, and they headed out, firing on all cylinders, ready to go, big goal set. And we get to like April, March, and they're kind of going, I'm actually going to need some help. And that's what Thrive is for. Thrive is all about education and accountability and support. It's all about running a successful business and still having a life. It's all about being surrounded by like-minded women. It's about education in that environment. So it's about learning together and being able to help each other and lift each other up. And Thrive is kicking off in April, and we're going to be talking a lot about it between now and March. Thrive is an exclusive 6-month growth and accountability program for women in business. It's personalized business advice, so you can stop spinning your wheels and second guessing yourself. Yes, there's group coaching, but yes, you get one-on-one coaching with me as well, so that we can tailor it to be specific to your business. We give you practical and insightful training every month to help you improve, and ongoing accountability. And that is where the rubber really hits the road, because not only are you setting big goals, but you're surrounded by people that are going to help you achieve them. Not just me, but other fabulous like-minded women. So applications will be open in March. I really hope you can join me. Thrive is special. I love it so much because I see it's like an incubator. I see people's potential as they sign up for it, and then I get to walk beside them all the way through to the end in October and see how far they take their business and also how their lifestyle changes. So if you want that for you, then I'd love you to join us for Thrive. All right, let's talk about your income and how much money you're bringing in. This is the good stuff. Yes, we want to get into business because we have a passion and because we love what we do and we want to share that with the world. Yes, yes, yes. But we also want to make some money. Yeah. And it's okay to say that. And it's absolutely okay to want that. And all of this hard work that you're doing should not be to no avail. Yeah. You should be working hard for your money and you should be paying yourself well. So we'll talk about that in a second. Let's make some predictions based on the products that you're selling or the services that you're selling and put together a little chart. So draw your own on your piece of paper and let's have a think about the things that we have to offer in our business and how much we sell them for. Then I'd like you to do some guesstimations and think about how many you think you're going to sell. Either that's per week, per month, per year, whatever works in your brain. And I want you to be as thorough as you can. Like, don't just kind of write just package one and it costs $600 and you should sell 10. But because you have the time, as I'm continue to ramble on, I want you to write down, okay, what does package one look like? Who is package one for? What does it do? What's included? What are they going to get from it? And then do that for each of the products that you have in your business. I'll pause for a second, take another sip of water so that you can keep writing down all of the things, because I know that so many of us in our businesses have more than just one thing or two things. I've seen you writing furiously. If you're watching the replay at home and you want to pause, no problem at all. Pause and come back. But we're going to take this information and we're going to stick it into a spreadsheet, which I'm more than happy to share with you at a later date. And I'll come back to that in a second. I'll stop sharing this one and I'll share the other. Okay. Some of you watching, some of you here tonight, and some of you watching the replay at home will be very familiar with this spreadsheet and Stacey's cheeseburgers that she likes to give as an example. I like to give something that makes people smile, and it's very rare that people don't smile at the thought of a cheeseburger. So this is my business. This is my brand new business. It's called Joe's Burgers. It should be called Stacey's Burgers. I'm not sure why Joe gets all the credit. But what we are going to do is we're going to figure out how many cheeseburgers Joe's going to need to make in order to make budget. And this is a spreadsheet that you're going to be able to take and work on yourself. But let's start with the expenses because we spoke about the expenses earlier. So in Joe's business, he pays a lot of money for marketing. He pays a lot of money for printing. He doesn't pay a lot of money for his staff. So I might change that. That's a bit more realistic. His rent's pretty cheap, his electricity as well. He does some professional development, but then here's the important stuff. In order to run Joe's Burgers, you can't run Joe's Burgers without buying buns and meat patties and milk for the milkshakes. And also he has subscriptions to Stripe in order to take payments, to PayPal in order for people to order online, and to Vimeo where he shares a lot of his content on how he makes his burgers really well. So all of these expenses can be changed. And I encourage you that when you get your copy of this to go ahead and change them. And it's so simple. Please don't judge me. Don't be like, wow, Stace. It's simple for the reason that I need it to be plug and play. I want you just to be able to not be scared of it. It looks basic because it is basic. I want you to dive into it and just give it a crack. That's my hope for you. So you can put in any of the figures that you like. You can do monthly, you can do yearly, and it'll all change depending on what you put in. And so what it's going to pump out here for you is a total. So this is how much you're spending per year on running Joe's Burgers. What I've also done for you, if you have a business that you also would like to contribute to your family, let's say you're running your business and you would like to be able to make sure that it's paying for certain things, certain expenses that you have in your household, I've done a tab here for the family stuff. So if in your family, you want your business to cover the groceries and the rent and the takeout that you're having or the electricity, maybe it's the holidays that you want to take on your time away, there's an extra tab there for you to be able to put in the expenses that are part of your family that you'd like your business to cover. Not the expenses that are going to obviously be a tax write-off. This is just for you to keep a little mental tab of how much is going to be there for you to be able to set aside so that you understand how much you should be paying yourself as a minimum, because you should be paying yourself more than that. And that's also important. And now we get to the nitty gritty. So when you go to fill this out for yourself, you will put in the products that you offer. So the thing that you wrote down in your first column in the exercise we just did will go here. What they get are details. That's just for your peace of mind so that this doesn't just look like all numbers, so that you can actually look at that and go, oh, okay, I've got this. The participant section is, okay, how many people are going to come through my doors? How many people are going to come in and hand over their credit card? This is the cost of the actual burger itself. So people are paying $6 for burgers at Joe's. That's pretty cheap. And how many times a year? So 1,000 people are coming in once a year and they're paying $6 for their burger, and that's making Joe's Burgers $6,000. However, there's a whole set of people, there's a whole part of the market, there's 1,000 of them actually, who love their cheeseburgers so much that they'll come in once a month and get a cheeseburger. So they'll come in 12 times a year and get themselves a cheeseburger. 1,000 people are coming in and buying fries, just fries for $5.50. They're coming in once a month. The fries are really good. And the chocolate shakes. Lots of people are coming in just for chocolate shakes. Perhaps Joe's Burgers is on the corner between school pickup and school activities of an afternoon, and everybody's calling through to get a milkshake on the way home. So these are the numbers that are showing you what each of these products are making in the business. These are what the products are bringing in. Of course, we thought about our expenses over here in our expenses column. So we don't have to, as part of this spreadsheet, think about, okay, the profit margin of each burger is X. We don't need to think about that right now. We just need to think about how many meat patties and buns and how much milk we're going to need in order to service all of these things. Now, that's the total of all of these things, all the cheeseburgers, fries, and shakes that Joe is selling. And this is the total of the two spreadsheets. You see how I've written here, this is the total of your family expenses and your business expenses together. So this amount is populated by the total of the family budget and total of the business budget. And so then you get to see how much money you're making or predicted to make and how much you're not. And poor Joe's having a really hard time because he's going to be out $168,000 at the end of the year, and that's going to hurt. So in order for Joe to make more money, he's going to need to sell more cheeseburgers. So perhaps it's not 1,000 people he needs to come in and make and buy one cheeseburger once a year. Perhaps that needs to be 5,000. And if I change that there, you will see that that changes down here. And so Joe's thought might be, I need more people in the door. But as you saw, that 168,000 only changed to 144,000. It didn't make that much of a difference. Perhaps instead, Joe needs to have a look at his expenses and cut his staffing in half and pay less in his wages. And so when I changed that, that made a big difference to the overall expenses for his business. And when we come back to here, you'll see it made a massive difference when it came to how much money Joe was losing. It's no longer 168,000, it's just 24,000. Again, still going to hurt, but not as much. And then if you're going to do a special deal on chocolate shakes that is going to make them out of this world, and perhaps people are going to come once a week for a chocolate shake, they're that good. Instead of coming 10 times a year, they're going to come 52 times a year. Every Tuesday afternoon, they're heading to Joe's Burgers for a chocolate shake. Well, all of a sudden, Joe's making $500,000. Joe's having a good time. Joe can probably now afford to go back and hire some more people, which will make a big difference to his lifestyle. And look, he's still making some money. Oop. So taking this for yourself and figuring out the products that you're offering, how many people you'd like to come in the door, how many times they're going to buy that product, and figuring out what that's going to look like in terms of your income and expenses is a really valuable exercise. To throw back to the marketing piece that we did just a second ago, we talked about the amount of money that we're spending on marketing and the amount of people that we need to get through the door. When it comes to your marketing, the industry standard is that of all of your followers and all the people on your email list and all the people who already know that you exist, 4% of those people are going to spend money with you. So if Joe needs, according to these figures, 9,500 people to walk in his doors, he's actually going to need to have at least 237,000 followers on Instagram or on LinkedIn or on, reading his ad in the newspaper or, knowing Joe because Joe's been in town forever. And so it's really important also to have a think about this for you. And perhaps these figures are going to be quite different. And let's just say that you have a service business and you have a capacity of 40 clients that you can see in a year. And of course, you need to change the cheeseburger section. But let's just, of the four different products you're offering, you're getting 10 people at doing each of those things. So it's 40 people you're working with every year. Then you need to make sure that you have a following of 1,000 people. 1,000 people need to know that you exist. 1,000 people need to know what it is that you do and the transformation that you can make in someone's life. a whole lot more manageable than poor Joe, who's working his butt off, trying to sell all the cheeseburgers in the land. Yeah? How many fries did I say before? Something like that. I think I just gave him a raise. All right. So that, yes, it's simple. Yes, it can be helpful for you. And yes, it's meant to be something that can help you out. It's meant to be something that you can grab with two hands and go, right, I'm going to get stuck into this. And the best way to do that, if you don't already have something in place in terms of looking at your numbers, is what I love to call Financial Fridays. And I talk about this a lot. I talk about it in Thrive. I talk about it in Simply Business Accelerator. They're sick of hearing about it in Simply Business Accelerator, let's be honest, because it can be just a game changer for you, especially if looking at your numbers is not something you've put a time aside for in the past. My screen's having a conniption. So if you would like a copy of the spreadsheet, scan the QR code or just simply send me an email at hello@simplystacymorgan.com with budget in the subject line. I'll send it to you. You can plug and play all of your own figures. You can send it back, make a copy of it so that if you find that you get lost and all of the formulas stop working, then you can just go back to the original and have a play and see what works. Because the great thing about this is that it can give you a really clear understanding. Okay, I know I've got to get 100 people in the door this year in order to make budget to pay for my business expenses and my family expenses. How am I going to do that with 100? How am I going to get those 100 people in? Okay, I can look at my marketing numbers. How much money am I going to spend? And what's going to be that return on investment? And once you get these three things working in synergy, everything else starts to make sense. Everything else starts to be just that little bit easier. And that's what I want for you. I don't want this to be daunting. I don't want it to be something that you can't, jump in and hold on to with both hands. I want you to have the power of that education, the power of knowing what's coming in and what's going out. All right. Before we jump into this reflection, I do want to talk about a couple of important things when it comes to your money and when it comes to your cash flow. Once you've understood what you need to do in terms of your income, what you need to bring in terms of your new customers, and what you need to do in terms of keeping your expenses down so that you are going to make a profit, I want you to think about what you're going to be paying in tax and setting up systems in place to put that money aside now so that that is not a moment that you have when you get that bill from the tax department. And this is something that we forget so easily because we're making money, things are going well, the expenses are going out, we know where we need to be, and then all of a sudden a tax bill. And tax bills are good. They mean you're making money. Yeah, they don't send you a bill unless you're making money. So it is a good thing, but it doesn't feel like a good thing if you haven't factored it in. You don't have a system in place, and then all of a sudden it takes you by surprise. So I want you to think about what you need to do in terms of having a look at your income, talk to your accountant, get some predictions as to what you think that's going to mean, get an understanding as to when that's going to be due. Is it going to be quarterly? Is it going to happen at the end of the financial year? When's that money going to be due? How much should I be putting aside? And how am I going to put that in place? Then I want you to think about money that you can invest back into the business, because it's one thing to be making money and traveling along and things are going well, and then something happens and you need to find money quick. That money to invest back into the business is super important as well. And again, it needs a system. So if you're putting in place Financial Fridays, and every Friday you're going to sit down for 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 100 minutes to look at your numbers, please put on your to-do list, thinking about our tax and thinking about ways in which to invest back into the business so that you have money in that rainy day fund. And lastly, I want to talk about the importance of paying yourself regularly. And this was something that I didn't do in the early days of my business. And it was not because the money wasn't there. It was because I didn't think I deserved it. Possibly. I didn't think I'd earned it. I was thinking about ways in which to put back into the business and things to invest back in for my students. Instead of paying myself, I'd buy a brand new set of tutus. Instead of paying myself, I'd have the rehearsal space for an extra 3 hours. And whilst those things were good for my business and good for my brand and they enabled us to grow, you can only run on passion and excitement for so long before the tough stuff, and running a business is tough. No joke. It's not for the faint-hearted. Before the tough stuff starts to get you down and you start to think, ugh, not even being paid for this, and you start to resent it and you don't want to get to there. So have the conversation with your accountant, and perhaps it's only that you're only going to earn this much because you're growing the business. Make it something, make it consistent, make it regular, make it the same amount. Don't just wait until the end of a certain period and then, take some money out of the business. Make sure it's consistent, make sure it's set up, and do that in consultation with your accountant. You do deserve it. And I've learned that along the way. You do deserve to make money from all of this hard work that you're doing. You do deserve to make money from all the hours you're putting in to this business of yours. And it's really important that you set up the systems and procedures you need in place in order to make sure that's happening on a regular basis now, from the get-go. So let's think about 5 takeaways from today's session that you're going to implement. Is it going to be Financial Friday? Is it going to be scanning through your expenses list once a month? Is it going to be emailing and getting a copy of the spreadsheet and working your way through? Is it going to be thinking about the family expenses and what, how much do I want my business to contribute to our family? Then I want you to list the people that are going to help hold you accountable to these changes, because it is so much easier to make change and to do great things when somebody knows that you're doing it and can encourage you. Everybody needs a cheerleader. I'm happy to be yours if you don't have anyone that's holding you accountable, whether you're here live tonight or whether you're watching the replay. Just reach out. That's why Thrive is so great, because we're in a WhatsApp group. We're talking all the time and everybody can hold each other accountable, check in on how they're doing. How was your Financial Friday today? What did you work on? What did you get stuck into? Or if you didn't, what's going on? Can we help in another way? Yeah. Find someone to hold you accountable. And where are you going to start? Where and when are you going to start? For those of you who are here live, I would love you to jump in the chat and tell me one of your takeaways. One of the things that you are going to start. One of those things that's going to be top of your to-do list, either when you get stuck into things today, if you're watching in Europe, or whether you are going to go to sleep tonight and then get stuck into first thing tomorrow morning. Jump in the chat and let me know. What's one takeaway? Let me know what you're going to be working on. Beautiful. Filling out the budget planning spreadsheet. Yes. You got to spend money to make money. Oh, I'll tell my dad that. He'll be so chuffed. He'll be so chuffed. You know what his other one was? So when I started my business, I would go to dad when things were hard. I'd go to dad. And he would say, well, you got to spend money to make money. And then his other piece of wisdom was, you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. And he was right. Because where I was trying to cut costs in terms of resources, human resources, it was causing me more trouble. And so now I don't have any monkeys, but I'm also not paying peanuts. Well, let me just say, and they're totally worth it. Contacting more potentially interested clients. Yes. You want to get those people in the door. You want to figure out how many you need to get in the door in order to make sure that you're going to hit budget. So important. Thank you for sharing. So good. And finally, If you would like, oh, good, Financial Fridays. I'm glad that came up as well. Very good. If you want to work on me with your business goals, you can book to the end of this month and get 2 sessions. If you buy 2 sessions, you get 1 free, which is 3 sessions. That one time that I said buy 2 sessions, get 3 free, that's not a thing. It's buy 2 sessions and get an extra 1, which is 3 in total. I would love to work with you. And even if we just sat down and did this stuff to get this off your plate, to get a better understanding of all of this and what it means for you and for your business, think about how freeing that would be. Think about how much potential there is then for you to make more money and to really understand where the money's coming from and where the money's going and how to make more of it. Yes, I want that for you. So you can check that out at simplystacymorgan.com/coaching. And you have till the end of the month. So we'll leave that up for you till the end of the month. And finally, make sure you stay in touch. Simplystacymorgan.com is where you can find out more about Thrive, more about all of the offers that I have. You can email me at hello@simplystacymorgan.com, scan the QR code to get yourself on the newsletter, but also to get my 10 tips for productivity for small business, which is like my Bible. And let me just say, at the moment, I'm not practicing what I preach when it comes to my productivity because my to-do list is a hot mess. And I had people in my office yesterday say, "Are you okay? What is this situation?" Because normally my calendar and my to-do list are like from all of the tips that I give in my productivity tip list. And yet they could tell that I was a bit everywhere. My plan was to get it sorted today, but then I got this lurgy instead. So tomorrow, by the end of the week, I'm going to have it all back on track. And if you want to get them on track as well, according to your to-do list and your productivity, then just scan the QR code and I'll take you there. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time on replay or here live tonight. Thank you for putting up with my croaky voice. I'm so glad that it made it through to the end. I'm going to go and have some hot tea, and I'll see you next time.